Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Everyone's so quiet. Hi.
Haley, are you cold or something? Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm cold-blooded. Like I don't have a heater. I just stay cold all the time. I do have some hot chocolate though. So, there's that.
I have a 7-year-old who will not cooperate here.
Yeah.
Angie, did Slater end up taking home all of that collection of items he found at the park?
Okay, thankfully for you, he just walked out, so he won't remember about it. But yes, he did. All of them. Oh, yay.
That's hilarious.
It made his day, though. He was very happy.
Well, that's the important thing.
Glad I could help with that, Angie.
Say again?
Said I'm glad I could help with that.
Yes, yeah.
Garbage.
Mark's the best, isn't he?
Gave Slater all these pipe fittings and whatever.
Good stuff.
Mark,
Good stuff is what I gave you.
I heard you had fun with Christmas lights today, Mark.
What's that? You froze up for a sec.
I heard you had fun with Christmas lights today.
Humbug. Oh yeah, I did. Because I'm festive.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
Nathan, good to see you.
It's nice to be seen, Mayor.
Nathan's with Wasatch Integrated Waste, just so you're all aware. He's
Somebody was kind enough to let me know I was on your agenda, so I thought that was a good excuse just to drop in and
I'm glad you did.
see
That wouldn't
what's
have been
going
me.
on.
I wasn't the kind one. I completely blew it off. Thanks for coming. So do we have everyone?
I believe so.
Are we ready to go, Lisa, Dave?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the South Weaver City Council meeting of November 17th. It is 6:02 p.m. and all council members are in attendance. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Soderquist, and then I will give the prayer.
Give me 1 second.
Please stand and repeat after me. Is the flag coming up?
It's on its way.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay.
Okay, please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet tonight as council and are aware of the weight and the responsibility that we carry to make decisions on behalf of our city. We're grateful for this opportunity and this privilege and pray for thy help in determining the needs and what is best for our city. We're grateful for those who serve to protect us and help protect our freedoms, and pray that thou wilt be with them, bless them, our police, armed forces, fire, our healthcare workers, and all those that are in harm's way. We pray for their health and safety, and please help them to know the appreciation that we have for them and the services they provide for us. Father, we ask for thy spirit this evening to guide and direct us in the decisions we make. We're grateful again for this opportunity and say these things in thy son's name. Amen. All right. Next on the agenda is a Corona update. So we have 13,000 plus cases confirmed in Davis County so far. 1,943 cases for last week, and this is a 33% increase from the week before. There's 23 hospitalized this week and 3 deaths last week in Davis County. The 7-day percent positive is at 22.1%. That means almost 1 in 4 tested are tested positive. The goal is less than 5%. So we got a ways to go. South Weber City has a total of 228 cases, 62 active cases. Hospitals are at 86% utilization, and the ICU has nearly 40% of COVID cases. The rate of transmission is 1.4. Our goal is less than 1%. All but one high school in Davis County is virtual now. And there will be 4 junior highs by the end of the week, I'm told. Believe 3 right now. There is a new Moderna vaccine that's shown to be 94.5% effective, and it doesn't require cold storage like Pfizer. So there is a silver lining, like we said last week, that these vaccines are coming out and they're proving very effective. So just to end on a good note, we'll end with that. Okay, next is public comments. Dave, or Lisa, do we have anyone signed up?
No,
We do
nobody
not.
signed up.
Nobody signed up. Okay. All right, then we'll go to our presentation. The first one that we've got is Blue Ox Development. Are they here?
I do not see them here.
I don't either. Okay, so, and is Gateway here either? Colliers? Not seeing either of them.
So Mayor, this is Nate Reeve. So I'm here to help present with Colliers.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're here to present or give the presentation, Nate?
I was here to assist, but since they are not here, I can move forward.
If you'd like, we can go through some other items first. Would you prefer that?
Yes, that would probably be great. That way they could get on and do sort of an intro of who they are and process forward.
Okay, is the council okay to move to action items and come back to the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's do that then. So item number 7 is the approval of the consent agenda, which consists of October 27th, 2020 minutes, October check register, and September budget to actual. Are there any comments or questions on the the consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All right, any further comment? All right, then we will have a roll call vote. Councilman Windsor,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Aye.
Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
Councilwoman Petty.
I,
Okay, and the motion carries unanimously. All right, the next item number 8 is Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES, request by Wasatch Integrated Waste. And like we said, Nathan Rich is here with us tonight, so if you have any questions for him. The Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act funds were distributed by the federal government to government units with populations of 500,000 plus. The state of Utah then distributed a portion of the CARES Act funds to those counties and cities that did not receive a direct allocation from the federal government. This distribution by the state did not include service districts. Wasatch Integrated Waste Management District, a service district which includes South Weber as one of its customers, has requested $1,497.32 from South Weber City. This is to help defray their additional costs associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Are there comments or questions on this?
I just make a comment. I appreciate them going through based off of percentage of households, adjusting it for each city. I appreciate that, and I appreciate what they've done for our citizens with all of the different adjustments we've had with windstorms and other things. So I'm in support of it.
Thank you, Councilman Soderquist. Just want to tell Nathan too, while he's here with my council, how much we've appreciated. There's been a lot of talk about smells and things, and Wasatch Integrated has done a terrific job of addressing complaints and concerns and going above and beyond the call of duty to try to mitigate those smells for our city. And so we appreciate all that they've been doing to help us out that way. They're a great partner.
Well, and Mayor, if I could just respond briefly, it's an ongoing process, and we realize we're a big smelly neighbor, so we do try as best we can. But we're at the start of a transition period. We've leaned on that landfill for years, and we've recently opened our new material recovery facility. Would invite the city council to come on a tour of that facility, or anyone who hasn't. We're able to do small tours. And part of that facility is transferring, and our goal is to transfer all the residential waste, which really has the high, most of the putrescible waste out of the landfill over the next few years. So with that, I think that will continue to help. As I've communicated to Mayor, she's aware we're going to be doing an additional stage of closure this coming construction season. And I do have scheduled some gas collection lines that will be connected over the next couple of weeks that should help with odors as well. So anyway, I appreciate your consideration on the CARES Act funding, and we thought that would be an equitable way to distribute those costs. It was interesting as some of my other board members brought this to my attention that cities had some funds that could be reimbursed. How much we'd actually spent, particularly the fact that about half of what we spent has been on unpaid administrative leave, as people have been, asked to stay away from work with COVID. And I don't think we're done there yet. But anyway, if there are any other questions, and appreciate stopping in your meeting.
Thank you, Nathan. Any further comments? Then do I have a motion to approve the request of $1,497.32 in CARES Act funds to Wasatch Integrated Waste.
So moved.
Okay, Councilwoman Petty, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Halverson. Any further comment?
Yeah, I would like to consider we send a contract to Waste Integrated Wasatch Management with regards to this check. So identify it was for this time period for the purpose behind it, like we did with the mosquito abatement district.
And
right.
that'd be fine. I'm seeing some contracts from other cities, so I'm assuming it will be consistent and that'd be just fine.
All right.
Well, the motion could be amended to include the contract. I'd support that.
Mayor,
Agreed.
I'd like to
Angie?
amend my motion to include a contract with Wasatch Integrated Waste.
Okay,
Seconded.
and Blair
Thank you.
seconds it. All right, thank you. We'll have a roll call vote now, beginning with Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Hi.
Councilman Windsor,
Aye.
and Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
And the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate it. All right. The next item, let's see. I'm not sure who's on the phone line. Does anyone know who 598-2325?
I believe that's
Who's-
Mark Larson.
Oh, it's Mark Larson? He's on two then. I've got him twice.
Mayor, this is Nate Reeve again. I spoke with the Colliers Group and they will be on in about 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. All
Thank you.
right. So, thank you. Let's move on to item number 9, Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act funding review. So all the CARES money must be allocated by November 30th, 2020, or returned to the state. This item is a chance to determine how to allocate the remaining balance of funds received. So staff is going to present a list of options for those funds tonight. And I believe Mark McCray, are you taking that?
Yeah, I have that as soon as I can get unmuted. Okay, I appreciate this opportunity, Mayor. One of what we have was, we all know several months ago, the CARES Act money was allocated by the state to the various cities. At that point, we were uncertain as to how many allocations we would actually get, whether we would get the full amount or get some portion of that. At the same time, we had questions of, there was quite a bit of discussion, how could the money be used? And over the months, clarification on that has come down on how to be able to use those funds. Now that we have actual figures and we have we have received, excuse me, all the money, excuse me, we've received all the money that we're going to get, and we know what we have spent and have hard figures on those things. We are at the point that we have $132,000, which is not allocated to any specific expenditure. If you will remember back almost before we got our first allocation from the state, the county had requested that we participate with them in their small business grant program. We at that time had made a decision to wait to see how much money we actually get, how much we actually spend, and to address it at a later time. I've been in contact with the county. It has been a very successful program. They have also put in over $500,000 into that program, more than just the CARES Act money. So we have we have several options. Basically, staff has
him talking right now?
staff has come up with 3 or 4 options, 2 which we recommend to the council. The first one is to spend $3,000 to put UV lights in our ambulances and on our HVAC systems at the fire station and at City Hall. The second one would be and that's what the UV lights would do. The second is to retroactively participate with the county in their small business grant program, which has been very successful in helping those businesses that have been most hurt by the COVID pandemic and the closures and so forth. Those are the 2 that staff is recommending. 2 other items which are possibilities are, we had talked about and taken to the committee, moving our software to the internet, which would allow us greater flexibility from working from home. And there were several other benefits. The problem, this amount would cover the first year of the cost for Cassell, which is our main software. However, it would have, that would double our cost from what we're paying now. And that additional rough $18,000 to $19,000 would be an ongoing cost. The recommendation from the finance committee was not to do that at this time. We also talked about doing automatic doors at the FAC, which is what several other cities have done, putting automatically opening doors on some of their facilities. Curtis, however, has questions about that because those doors face the east. The wind opening, would they stay open more than just having someone walk in, and the wind causing problems with papers and things within the facility? And so the recommendation as staff was, it's something we could do, but is not necessarily needed at this time. And Curtis feels that would be a mixed bag and probably not the best thing to do at the FAC at this time. So those are the things that staff came up with. Our recommendation is to retroactively participate with the county. The county, as far as the city, South Weber City, over $45,000 was given in grants to small businesses within our community. And we feel this is the most appropriate way to keep the money close to home to benefit our citizens and our neighboring communities with the use of the money that we haven't spent here in the city. So now with that explanation, I'll leave it open to questions and discussion.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
So Mark, I got one.
Okay.
Can you show that Excel sheet again? Did that take into account the Wasatch?
Yes, it
we
did.
just approved?
Yes.
Okay.
It takes into account that as well as everything else, the actual expenditures that we've approved in the past.
So you say there's already $45,000 been allocated to small businesses in South Weber? Or was that? Okay.
It was a little over 45,000 that was allocated, that was given out as grants to small businesses in South Weber. Correct.
All right, thank you.
Mark, I got a question. In our packet, page 85 of 95, it says we have $103,081 that's unallocated, but the spreadsheet you just showed suggested $132,000 of unallocated. Can you help me rectify the math there?
Yes, there's an additional $29,000 that is coming from the customer assistance program. We sent letters out on that program. We sent out social media blasts on that program. And so far, we've only had one person return an application for assistance.
So we're reallocating that which was allocated to that customer service program to the unallocated funds. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Dave, did you have something?
Just to further clarify the timeline, we have to make a decision before the end of the month on what money we're going to spend. We can spend it until December 30th, but we are required to return any unspent money by December 5th. And so that's why the reallocation, because we can't just hold on to that to the end of the year and see how many more people would participate. We have to return any unspent funds by December 5th. And so therefore, we are looking to make a decision on that remaining money, and choosing to use that for the county grant program is choosing to spend it and not choosing to return it to the state.
Mac, I have one question. I know when we approved the first gurney, if we talked about, and I thought we actually approved, if we received the final tranche, that we would approve the second gurney.
Yes.
Which would be the additional, and I see that's in our budget, but it's not in our allocated or spent. Can we not proceed with that?
Okay, Lisa, can you put up the first of those spreadsheets?
Yep, give me a second.
I have an additional breakdown that shows what we have spent.
The short answer is that we did allocate that and spend that and got a second gurney.
Yeah, both gurneys have been purchased.
But wasn't that more than, it was 36, where you don't show that spent and allocated in our spreadsheet.
Okay, if you look at the one that was just brought up, and there is a spelling error on that one. The first gurney was 18,881 because the ambulance was already outfitted to accept that gurney. The second gurney was 32,687. Then
Okay.
we have the chest compression. What this one is showing that just 1,000 for the customer assistance. We still have a few people who have taken the forms but haven't turned them in yet. And so this is where, if you can scroll down just a little bit, Lisa, you'll see that shows the amount that we actually have earned or have received, and where I'm getting the 132 from on our actual allocation.
Thank you. I was just overlooking the next line item. You're good.
Okay.
Councilwoman Alberts, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could elaborate on what happens if we send it back to the county. I mean, I know it's a grant fund. Is it for local businesses within the county, or do they have more information on how they'll be spending those funds?
The money has already been spent. We'd be reimbursing them. They took the CARES money from those who have already participated in the program, added over $500,000 in additional funds, and made grants to small businesses who were struggling. Those businesses had to apply to the county and demonstrate a need caused by the pandemic and so forth. And it was only for businesses within the boundaries of the county. It was a very successful program in assisting those businesses. As we know, in many cases, I think businesses were hurt more. Certain businesses have been closed and were hurt more than individuals were.
All right, any other comments?
Mayor, I have a comment. We
Yes.
discussed in the PR committee also perhaps sending some of this money as in the form of a credit to our residents on their utility bill, just generally across the board to help with that, because everyone's been affected by this year in this pandemic. So we did think that that would be an option to consider as well. I'd love to hear what the rest of the council thinks about that.
Does anyone have an opinion on that?
I might comment on that, Mayor, if that's okay. As I've read the
Yep.
Relief Act and the purpose of it and so forth, I would be very hesitant to do that. I think that would be the type of thing that, because a demonstrated need is not there. It's a felt need, but not a specific need, because it wasn't an application by individuals requesting the money that would probably be denied by the state auditor, and then that money would have to come, we'd have to pay the money later. But once we gave the credit to all utility customers, that would be something that we would have to eat out of our budget. So that'd be an unfunded expenditure if they took the money back.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that, Mark.
Okay. If there are no further comments, I'll entertain a recommendation for the remaining funds for the CARES Act.
I do have one more question. Since we don't have a list of what's been allocated for our touchless features, I know I keep bringing this up, but I want to make sure that we have all of our parks and everything covered with drinking fountains that would have a touchless water bottle feature for all of our parks. Is that something that we still have entertained, as well as our new
Yes,
dog
we
park?
have. Carl Wilson of our Parks Department has been heading this project. He met with contractors yesterday and today. We should have the figures by the end of the month. I mean, by the end of the week. They have been on the contractors we've contacted. We had a list of 5. 4 have responded and 1 still needs to come to the city. They have been on site. They've gone to all of our parks. They've gone to all of our facilities. We've explained to them what we want, that there is a deadline that they have to be installed by December, end of December. And the ones who have been here feel very comfortable they can do that. We will have an exact figure, hopefully before Thanksgiving time, when we have to turn it into the state. What I would like, my recommendation to the council would be that any money that we have left over goes to the county grant program and not hold it as a hard, fast number. So that if the money for the touchless features should come in lower than the 50 or a little bit higher than the 50, we would still be covered, and we would just adjust the amount that we send to the county.
Okay. Councilman Soderquist.
Just a clarification, I've heard allocated, spent, and installed all by the end of the year. What's the real definition? It has to be allocated as well as spent, as well as installed?
Okay. Our first deadline is November 27th. On November 27th, I have to, excuse me, I have to do a survey and report to the state how much money we have spent to date and how much money we will have allocated and will have spent by December 31st. So you can have our money allocated for a program but not spent, which is basically the touchless features. That money, it has to be, anything with those has to be installed. Doesn't have to be paid for, but it has to be installed and with the equipment on site and installed by December 31st. Or it was not an eligible expense, and that money will then have to go to, if we said on November 27th that this is what we're going to spend, we don't get it done by December 31st, that money also will then go to the state, not, which will then go back to the federal government. So the state, we have to guarantee that if we allocate money to be spent by December 31st, that it does get spent. That's basically the promise that I have to make to the state auditor's office on November 27th.
And I understand it being spent, but being actually installed just seems a little bit potentially unreasonable if it's an outside thing. But if that's really what they're requiring, that's good to understand.
Yeah, the vendors that we've been talking to all feel comfortable that that deadline, though they're busy, is one that they will be able to meet.
Thank you.
I have
Alright.
one more question. This $50,000 allocated for touchless features, does that also include anything in City Hall, especially or specifically the restrooms?
It includes replacing the toilets. The toilets, to go touchless, we would have to do we'd have to remodel the whole bathroom, both of the bathrooms, to put touchless toilets in there. It includes new toilets, and it includes touchless fixtures like the faucets, the soap dispenser, and so forth at City Hall. It does not include a drinking fountain at City Hall. It includes the new drinking fountain at the rec center, touchless fixtures at the rec center and at the fire station, and then the drinking fountains that have been discussed, up to 5 drinking fountains. Does that cover what you want, what you needed, Councilmember Petty?
Yes. Is there a desire for a drinking fountain at City Hall from anyone? Do we feel
No.
we have a need for that?
We have 2 different sources right now. We've been using bottled water. We also have filtered water in the refrigerator, comes through the refrigerator. And so it's taken care of now, and there is no desire and not really a good place to put it either. So we're not looking at right now at a drinking fountain at City Hall.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mac. Appreciate all the clarification.
All right. Does anyone want to make a motion to recommend allocation of these funds and what they would be allocated toward?
I'll try it.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we allocate the funds as noted in our packet from the CARES tranches, as noted with the adjustment that the funds going to the small business support be adjusted based off of the final cost for the touchless fixtures.
okay. And does that allocation include UV lights? And
Oh, right.
anything else?
Including the UV lights, yeah, because this wasn't in our packet, what he's shown here. So how do I, including, what is that?
3,000 for the UV lights.
Yeah, the staff recommendation is for UV lights and the county small business grant program.
Okay, so the 3,000 for UV lights, the 129,000 for the small business program, adjusted based off of the touchless fixture actual amount.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Windsor. Any further comment? Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
Councilman Windsor,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Petty.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, if there's no opposition from the council, then I would like to go back to item number 5, the presentation. Is anyone opposed to that? Okay, then we will go to item number 5, which is Blue Ox. Blue Ox Development has brought forward several proposals for the Stevens property on 475 East and Old Fort Road. They've been approached by a representative interested in building a grocery store, but one requirement is a market study. The council is being asked to provide the funding for the study. Carter Randall, I believe, is here, or he was. Is he? Yep, there he is. Do you have anything to add to that summary, Carter?
No.
Okay. So are there comments or questions for Carter?
Mayor, I have one.
Yes.
Carter, are you able to tell us who the potential grocer is? My concern is if we do one, a grocer is going to then just want to do their own if they're not involved in it from the beginning.
So, and I, just to give this some color, this grocer is coming via another agent who hasn't disclosed who that grocer is. I'm going to assume it's Kent's, Wrigley's, maybe Armin's. They need that study in order to kind of fill their box, if you will. And so I'm a little bit, I'm semi in the dark on it, and I'm kind of hoping. I know the city council has mentioned that they would like that type of use. I don't know that the study is actually going to be helpful or not. But our thoughts on it were if the city were to purchase a market study for a grocer, hopefully it would work for this particular grocer. But if not, we could then take that study and try to go court other grocers with that. And it would be the cities as opposed to an individual's, which then you would not own, to be able to try to go establish those types of tenancies. That's kind of the thought on it right now. I wish I don't represent the grocer. I don't know who that is, and so that's the trouble. Is I've been approached by an agent who says they have a grocer who's interested, but they need this done, and in order to be able to kind of fill that box, and hopefully the study would come out positive. That's kind of the hope.
Carter, in one of your emails you wrote to us, it seemed like you were a bit reticent about the viability of putting a grocer in that area. What are your concerns? And
my concern is that I think a grocer works there personally, just knowing the area, knowing 84, knowing South Weaver. I think a small grocer would work. I just don't know that a demographic study done from 30,000 feet will confirm that. And so that's my reticence as to fronting the money for the study myself. That's my concern. I know this. I mean, if I thought a grocer would have worked there and we could have gotten through a study, I would have probably approached the city with that type of use. That makes a lot more sense as a developer. I'm just not overly confident that a study is going to get the. I'm just not confident in the study. Based on the demographics, based on the 1, 3, 5 mile radius, based on traffic counts, it'll be hard to look at from the data and make sense of that, in my opinion. I did mention to David that if it were to work, I mean, if the grocer said, yes, we like this spot, we will go ahead and go out on a limb, Nate and I will reimburse the grocery study to provide, so at least you would know. And the idea of spending about $7,500 on a study that I'm afraid is going to actually shoot us as opposed to help us doesn't seem I'm not up for that. I am certainly up for it if they said, yes, we like the site. The grocery study was fine. We'll go with that. Then Nate and I would certainly be willing to reimburse the city for the cost of the study. In the meantime, there are several small grocers that we could then take that study to and see if we could court them with it. If there was somebody a little more willing to go out on a limb looking at future growth or whatever it may be, so it's, at least it wouldn't be lost if the grocer produces the study, which they have not offered to do, then it's their study. Does that make sense? And we only get what little snippets of information they want to provide us from it, if any. And anyway, that's kind of what led me to that particular email as to kind of my thoughts on the cost of the study.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Soderquist.
Yeah, Carter, just a follow-up question. You mentioned $7,500. I've seen $23,000. I've heard different figures. Are you pretty confident that 7,500 is the range, or could it be anywhere?
So what we did when we received this inquiry from the agent, I reached out to Associated Foods, out to Steve Miner, who's their site acquisition guy. Asked him to take a look at the site. I have reached out to him many times in the past, but with COVID, I haven't gotten a response. This particular time, he answered the phone, pulled the site up on Google with me, walked through it, said that Associated Foods would be willing to order the study. They order about $250 to $300 a year, which provides us a discount, and then provide us that study, and then lead us to any kind of personnel with the other grocers that would be involved with their site acquisition. So that's the number that he quoted to me, was $7,500. That's a discount, as opposed, if we went out without, Associated Foods can do that because they do so many that they kind of get a discount on these studies. It's with a third party. It's Associated doesn't do the study. It's with a third party out of Salt Lake, and he just was willing to lend a hand. So that's kind of how we got to here.
Thank you.
Other comments? Okay.
I'll make a comment. Based upon this discussion, I'm feeling a little uncertain about how beneficial this truly would be to the city. And I really don't like the idea of the city contributing some of our very coveted funds on something like this when we just aren't sure if there truly is a benefit, or in addition to helping a developer come in. I really hesitate on that. So I feel like this probably is not the best option for us at this time to pursue this study.
Okay.
My only comment on that would be, I know that the city would like this use, and I could be wrong about the study. I mean, I'm certainly not a grocery technician. It's just, again, if the city would at least own it, and I know the city wants the use, and I think that would be helpful. I'd hate to see a grocer go by, but I agree with you. You're rolling the dice. I mean, the study could come out and say, sorry, call us in 10 years. Or it could say, this works for a Wrigley's. But it is rolling the dice. And I agree with you, Councilwoman. They're not exactly dice that I would roll. But because the city's expressed interest in the use, I would think it would be dice that the city should roll.
Councilwoman Alberts?
Well, Angie summed up nicely what I was going to say. I feel like it's definitely a bit of a gamble. I think that if the grocer seems a little too cautious themselves, if they're willing to come, then if they want to contribute into the study as well. But I agree, these are precious funds, and if we get the results back of call us in 10 years, then we wouldn't use that study. So that would just be money lost. So if the grocer wants to chip in further, maybe we can discuss it, but I don't see us taking 100% of this cost this time.
Okay, other comments?
I can make one. And I think at the end of Haley's comment, she hit on a little bit what I was thinking is, I mean, I think either the grocer, the developer, or the owner of the property needs to come up with something for us to even entertain. I mean, it has to be a give and take on that. I may entertain it a little more if this was a split or something. I may consider it, but paying for it 100%, I just don't think we can do that with the city's funds. So.
Are you suggesting something, Blair? Is there a number that would, I mean, if we were to come in and try to split it, maybe I could talk to the agent and see if they would participate. I mean, it would be, at least everybody would be on the table. I don't want to be on the table for $7,500 any more than the city does. Because this is rolling dice and hoping for the best. But it'd be a great use.
Carter, I know you and Nate like to gamble, so let's find, if you can come up with some other kind of solution with them participate. I mean, if it's a three-way split, it's a whole different thing. And then we all own the study. I mean, that wouldn't be near as hard. I mean, we do studies all the time in the city, but to try to just do it for one piece of property at that kind of expense is hard.
Councilman Windsor?
Yeah, I was just going to echo the last few comments that the city takes on 100% of the risk for 100% of the cost, and there's no clear, path. There's some skepticism already on what Carter's expressed. So if there's a participation, equal participation, I might be more open to that. But 100% of the cost for not knowing where it's going to go, I'm not in favor of that.
All right, any other comments? Any other council members willing to entertain the possibility of a split, two or three-way split? Besides Councilman Halverson and Windsor?
I'd be open to a three-way split as well, depending upon what it is. I agree. We're not a Riverdale or a Layton. It's not chump change for us to take it on all by ourselves.
I'd also be willing to discuss it, get some more players in the game.
All right, Angie, how do you feel,
I'd be
Angie?
willing to discuss it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Carter, does
I
that give you
appreciate it.
your answer?
No, that helps. And I don't know if that'll fix it, but let me chat with Nate. Let me chat with the agent and see if we can kind of mitigate the cost to everybody and make it a little more palatable for everybody to roll those dice. So I will do that and get back to the city.
All right. Thank you, Carter.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's go to item number 6. I believe Colliers is here now. With the concept idea for the South Weaver Gateway. I'll just turn the time over to them to present the same. I believe they presented last week to Planning Commission. So now it's our turn. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for letting us, throw this on the agenda and taking a little bit of your time to kind of test everyone's opinion of what we've been working on here for the last couple months. So I do appreciate it, everyone. So do you mind if I take the screen and maybe put the site plan up?
We can do that.
Okay.
Lisa, can you share?
It's ready. You should be able to share.
Okay, let's see here. All right. There. Okay, hang on here. Do you see my screen?
Can't see it yet.
Let me try again here. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and do it this way. So here. Okay. So yeah, we did meet last week with Planning Commission, had a lot of good input, and that was actually a great meeting. So, you know, Brad and I at Colliers have been engaged and hired by the Paul family to work on kind of getting a good concept here eventually approved and something that can come to fruition. So we're excited about that. We've got a lot of good people on our team through Colliers and through Nate Reeve and his firm as well. So we've done several projects with him all over the state. And anyhow, so we love working with Nate and Paul family as well. It has been a very good family. So with that, we also met with staff about a month ago and made some changes already to what you see here. So we've tried to reduce some residential units. This all has stemmed from an original plan from, probably over a year ago, year and a half. That developer has since gone by the wayside. And we've got, what I'd say a lot more realistic plan that you see here now. So
I'm sorry. Can everyone else see his map? What's that?
Let me zoom up a little.
All I have is a black screen. I just want to make sure that not everyone else does. I've seen the plans, but I can't see them on the screen.
I can see it.
Okay.
I can see it.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I was the only one. So.
Yeah, thanks for checking. So, in these last few months, as we've been kind of working hard on this, we've tried to add more green space. We've kept this trail that was just an idea at first to kind of connect the neighborhood up on the bluff and kind of make a cool kind of, way to have walking connectivity throughout the entire project. And so we called this the Gateway project because we feel like it is, it's kind of on one end of the entrance to your city. We think that's important. And we want to create, a standard as you drive into the city of high quality commercial buildings and, nice market rate residential living for, a lot of different type of residents. You've got anything from a 1-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom apartment to 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes, some with single car garages, some with double car garages. So, and we've tried to make this connectivity that you can see here, that you have kind of a main entrance here that will be landscaped with medians, signage, kind of make it really nice and wide. And it will transition to this community setting in the back here. And there'll be amenities here for everybody to share. But, most of what we've been focusing on recently has been the commercial. So we've really tried to make something that's real. We're not here to just draw boxes and just play games with square footage and pad sizes. And, that's just not what we're doing here. So, we do have real LOIs, some that have been signed. And a lot of that's been work from Brad and I and our team here at Colliers to bring tenants and offer some big incentives that the developer's paying for to get them here. So as an example, if you look here where it says Dutch Brothers Coffee and the Scoop, so that building, that pad, we've got the developer willing to essentially give that land away to incentivize them to come here. They were looking at sites in Layton and South Ogden with much higher traffic counts than what we have here in South Weaver Drive. But, the way to really get momentum is you just have to kind of incentivize good tenants that you think will make a difference, and then hope that that will continue to snowball into a nice commercial development. So that's just to give you a quick update on that. Garrett is his name that owns the Scoop. They're currently doing engineering for a site that they've purchased in St. George. And if you look up there, that elevation drawing, that's actually one that they are currently getting engineered for St. George. So that's not just a drawing to look fancy. That's literally what they're going to build. And it's a beautiful building. It's, way more spendy of a construction design than what you would see if a developer just threw up a building and then tried to lease it out. Much different than that. It's a custom designed building. You've got a double drive-through with an aisle down the middle that's connected by a bridgeway. And then there's seating across this whole, if you can see my little cursor, from this end of the building all the way to at least here is all seating, outdoor seating on the rooftop. So I think it's a great concept. They do, he's got the license to sell Aggie ice cream and BYU Creamery. So that's kind of what he'll be doing there, which is a really cool concept. You've got a great following for those type of, anybody that's an alumni, can attest to that ice cream. So I think that's a cool concept. We love to have them there. Like I said, we've got a mutually agreed upon LOI there to terms, just waiting on, of course, once we can get the rest of the approvals for the project. Dutch Brothers is someone we've reached out to. I've done work with them in the past. We don't have an official offer from them, but they are asking for more details from me. So that's that. And then if you move on over here, this multi-tenant building is one that the developer has committed to build. I've really pushed them to be willing to build, to go vertical on commercial space now, right? So again, what we're trying not to do, which we know has been an issue in the past with not just South Weber, but a lot of cities, is to, carve out land in the front and say, well, we'll build commercial here when it comes, right? And so instead, we've got them willing to just build this building now. And, just to shell the building out costs, roughly $100, $120 a foot in that range. So you're 5,000 feet roughly. So you're about $600-700 grand right there to spec that one building. So this Qdoba, I've worked with them in some other states. That's more of just an idea or a concept of what we want to see there. So Qdoba might not be the one for this development, but at least it gives you an idea of kind of a good food tenant that's not in the area now for that end cap. So we've got a drive-through end cap here. As you know, drive-throughs are make it or break it right now for any kind of commercial development. You really need to have drive-through with the current COVID environment. Those are the businesses that are surviving, that are staying open, and that are succeeding. And then if you just move down here away, we have got 4,000 more square feet here that, again, we've got the developer willing to agree to build out and open a national flag type of gym. So if you were to do, a gym, as you guys have seen in apartment buildings, it's typically kind of a sad little gym. It's 800 square feet at best. It's got a treadmill or two, some free weights, and a mirror. That's about it. So, we thought this is a way that we can occupy more commercial space now and have the developer and the operator of the apartments go ahead and commit to a franchise and build an actual public gym, one that's open to the public, 3,000 square foot gym roughly. So we've talked Anytime Fitness, and we're going over their spacing requirements now. Technically, it's a little close to the one up on 193, their franchise spacing. So I'm working with them to see if we can get an exception or not. I mean, if we were on the other side, 84, we'd be okay. I mean, that's how close we are. So, but either way, this is something like this, some sort of, if it's Anytime Fitness or another national type of brand is what we're also committing to build. And when I say developer, so we also have a contract that we've negotiated and signed with a builder/developer, Mill Creek Construction out of Salt Lake City. So they've built a lot of single family over the last 15 years. They've done some apartments, some townhomes, and some commercial as well. So they're a great mid-sized construction company. This isn't too big for them, but they're also small enough that they're willing to, put some real concessions forward that some real large guys aren't typically interested in doing. So that's kind of a summary that I wanted to just throw past everybody. And Nate, if you're there, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add in my little intro.
No, I think that was great. I think all of us as, the residents here within the city, hopefully know where this property is. I think there was maybe some assumptions. It goes the Highmark Charter School. To the west of the charter school is that regional detention basin. And then this is the ground west of that.
Right.
That like Sky was saying, that the Paul family currently owns. This is one that we've done a lot of work on this over the years. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of ideas. This is one that we have refined lots of times. We appreciated input from Planning Commission last week. We appreciate the input from staff before that. And so we are here tonight just to hear any input from the council on any ideas, good, bad, or ugly, on how this can be updated into something that's would be a plan that we could revise and get into the process so that we can get this approved and hopefully make this a reality for all of us here within the city.
All right. Thank you, Sky and Nate. Let's open it up for discussion. We have questions from the council.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I don't know how many of you watched Planning Commission, but I had the opportunity to be part of Planning Commission last week, and I do think Sky and Nate, this is a good proposal, and I like the fact that you're bringing actual businesses and thoughts of who could be in the spaces. You may want to make sure the rest of the council knows about the elevations of the project. That nothing, I think you weren't exceeding 35 feet on anything, correct?
Correct.
From my standpoint, and I think it was expressed at the end of council meeting or Planning Commission meeting that you may find some pushback from most of this council, I think, on the amount of residential you have to commercial, but I do think this is a commercial piece of property with possibly the potential of having some residential. And to me, from this perspective, you have residential with a little bit of commercial. And I think that large of apartment complex is excessive for this piece and that's my opinion. I'm one of five. So that, I think you knew some of that feedback was going to come, and I don't know if you've started changing any of that after the feedback you got from Planning Commission or not, but I think you'll get that as a general consensus as well.
Thank you. Councilwoman Alberts.
Yeah, just to piggyback there on Blair's comment, Sky, I was wondering if you could tell us in your own words the reason for this amount of residential.
Sure. So, we, as you've probably heard on other developments, there is a state, sort of mandate on the affordable housing, what they call the affordable housing crisis. But either way, the reality of it is there's only so many commercial users, and to make a property viable, you really have to do a mixed use project of this size. If it was just frontage, maybe like, piece like this, 3 or 4 acres, you could do a standalone commercial project with a lot of work, maybe some good agents like us that know how to shake the trees, find some retailers, you can get it done. But when you're talking this depth of property here, it gets very hard to realistically deliver commercial within a 10 or 20 year span. I mean, across the street, you've seen, slowly some good retail has been coming online. Maverick's done very well. I've done several Maverick deals as myself, and that's constantly one of their higher performers out of their portfolio, which is great. And we sell that every time we talk to tenants. But again, that's non-e-commerce type of business, right? So when you are talking mid-box or bid-box retail, that's all very much sensitive to e-commerce and sensitive to the COVID environment. It's a completely different story. It's much harder to perform on any type of commercial that would lend itself to this depth of a property. So it's almost impossible, to be frank. You just have to have a good, smart use, mixed use for a property of this size and of this shape. I hope that helps. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. And I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm more just trying to understand. But correct me if I'm wrong. It would appear to me that mixed use is somewhat new to Utah. This is something that has been growing in the last 10 to 15 years, and it's being sold like there's no other way to make it possible. Is that something that you see as well?
Yeah, but the retail environment has changed over the last 15 years as well, and that's a big part of it. So that probably leads to my next question is, there are lots of mixed use all around in the cities around us. And I actually was checking out quite a few of them just a few weeks back for a different development that we're looking at. There's one actually in Ogden that's very similar, at least to yours here, with the gym and a commercial for a cafe. It's empty. That's something I'm seeing a lot is the residential fills, but the commercial sits empty. And that's something that I have a lot of hesitation towards. Sure.
Makes me nervous.
Right.
But I mean, I love this proposal as far as the businesses. I mean, this is a lot of when we ask our residents, what do you want to bring to South Weber? You're hitting it right on the head. An ice cream shop, a coffee shop, a gym, a local like Burley Burger. Burley Burger is well loved by our residents. And so I think you've gotten a lot of that case right on. But for me, and I'll speak for myself as one council member, the affordable housing, I'm just not convinced. I know we have our state mandates and we follow that. But the argument that, you want to have this affordable housing for your children to come back to, I couldn't disagree with it more. People want to come back to South Weber, and that is true, but they want to come back to what kind of South Weber do they want to come back to? And what we've heard from our residents is if we build out with a lot of high density housing, that's not what they want to their children will want to come back to. It's this country feel that leaves South Weber so special, in my opinion. So I feel like that's going to be an uphill battle. And I think the Planning Commission kind of nodded to that. But that is my concern. The density is definitely a concern. But also just if commercial will actually be filled. And I know with COVID, that kind of threw things up all the more. So just some concerns I have, but wanted to thank you for your due diligence in looking at these other business proposals, looking at these people who can come in rather than just throwing out, well, maybe it could be this or this, to really do your due diligence there. I do appreciate that. And I don't want that to be minimized at all.
Sure. No, and I appreciate the feedback. There are a lot of mixed use projects that struggle, and you just have to do it right. And, that's not everybody does. That's just the truth. But I think, and you don't want to, you're kind of touching on the point that we're also struggling with, which is there's only so much commercial, right? You want to build enough that you can maximize what can be filled in maybe in a 3 or a 5 year time span or whatever that may be, but you don't want to overbuild and then have vacancy for 10, 15 years. Like the Junction still has, in Ogden, Boyer still has 3 suites, I believe, that are shell that have never been occupied. So you just want to do it the right way, you know, where you are maximizing that retail and that commercial that the city wants, but you're not overbuilding it just to build it. I do want to just touch base quickly on this. Oh, and also the affordable housing that the state is requiring. I understand you guys are, you know, as far as I'm in compliance, we're not trying to say that you need to do anything differently whatsoever. I know you have a cool kind of community feel of nice homes and larger lots. And I'm not trying to take that away by any means. So I understand that. But I was just saying in an overall Utah and national type of issue, it's just the rise of housing versus affordability, right? It's an issue nationally. But I did want to speak to that here. So, you know, of course, we're not here to, oh, it's the wrong one. Sorry. Let me see here. To bring in any sort of what I would call low income or affordable housing. This is just, you know, from 2 days ago, this is the pricing for Seasons up in South Ogden, right? So they have townhomes and apartments there, similar type of product. These are the prices there from 2 days ago, like I said. So, you know, you've got pricing here for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, and you've got some additional monthly expenses. I just quickly did a spreadsheet before our meeting here. Let me zoom up on this. So, and this is just very simple. I took, you know, if we had the same units and charged the exact same amount, additional expenses are some utilities and parking or whatever those other fees are. It's typically a media package and utilities that are not covered in your rent. So if you add those together, this gives you your monthly rent for a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and then additional expenses are some utilities and. Yep. That was weird. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. That was
that's
my,
okay.
that was me.
That was my computer. So if you just extrapolate that out, right, what you're showing here is on a 30% housing to income ratio, which 30 to 34% is what any landlord typically is going to require for you to qualify, right? This is what you'd have to make an hour as a single individual living in a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. This is what you'd have to make annually. This is minimum incomes to just rent. This is not average. This is your minimum. 56,000 a year. 2 bedroom, 2 bath could maybe be a married couple or you know, young professional that's working. And then your townhomes, this is what you would be at roughly. It's about $40 an hour or an $80,000 household income. So the state average household income is 68,000 currently. 26,000 a year is the average income or salary for a resident in Davis County. Again, now that also includes some minimum wage employees. But, you know, if you look at these numbers, I just wanted to show you just briefly that, you know, that the basis of a multifamily living situation has nothing to do with a resident that you wouldn't want in your city. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. It doesn't have to do with somebody that you think is lower income or not in a socioeconomic way that maybe your other residents are. These are people that choose, typically baby boomers and millennials that choose to live here because they don't want to do, you know, yard work or snow removal or deal with a yard or a larger home, or they want something new that has warranties on everything, and they put that in priority over owning a single family home. So this trend has been happening, and it's happening more and more year after year as that you just see people are choosing to live in multifamily because of the convenience factor, much more than for affordability even at times. So I just wanted to share that, as I know there are some concerns there with, you know, what are those residents like, or what, you know, if you took a profile of a renter, this I hope sheds a little bit of light on what we see with our market studies.
Thank you for providing that. And I appreciate just having the dialogue with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions for Sky? Councilman Soderquist.
First of all, again, I echo the comments from others. It's a very well put together presentation. I like identified stores and thoughts and things like that. I do have a couple questions. The 150 apartments, do you have the breakdown of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, or that's just all rough at this point?
Right now it's rough. I do believe the discussion we've had with Mill Creek Construction has been, they're looking right now at maybe just a third split right now across the board.
Okay, and then the number of parking spaces they have associated with the apartment is what ratio or how many?
Let's see. Let me swoop down to there.
Is it spelled out? I didn't look deep enough.
178 stalls on the apartments, 121, commercial 64. Oh, you know what? They were going to do, this makes sense when I look at the parking. The 3 bedrooms that are going to keep in the townhomes. So it was going to be 1 and 2s likely in the apartment building. 3 bedrooms a pretty big apartment. At that point, a lot of people would rather have a townhome. It's not too much more in rent.
Okay, so you have 178 for the apartments and commercial 64.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Okay. That's one area that'll be a concern. We've had a lot of discussion about parking in other developments around, and it seems a little bit of a low ratio. Another concern I had is looking at your townhomes on the southwest, your 6 and 4 unit townhomes. It looks like they cut into almost 10 feet of the hillside there. What plans do you have relative to hill stabilization and or preventing any type of slides?
So that would be a bit of a question for Nate as far as engineering that retention wall. I mean, we do it often, but
The anticipation of the grading on this project, and we felt the townhomes in that location was a good fit because the bottom level of the townhomes, the more of the garage would be able to, the whole bottom elevation would be used for retaining. And then there would be the up one level up would be able to utilize that back area and have a living space or a patio out back.
So basically,
that's something that we will certainly get into the geotechnical side as we progress.
Okay. Thank you for that. One other question I had, and this may be more for the council and our planning commission. I know we've talked about this being commercial. As I was looking at it, just thinking, is there any worries about all of the children walking past all these commercial businesses on their way to the elementary school? Obviously, we've added 2 more in-out for driving, but I don't know how many other schools are close to, commercial businesses with people driving in and out all the time.
so is that a question to me? Sorry.
It's more to the city council and planning commission. I mean, if you have an answer for that, I don't know that it's a showstopper. It's just something that hit me as I was looking at this and thinking of all those children walking along there. Plus, currently we have a whole bunch of parents that park in front of that whole area to pick up their children. And so it could be kind of a congestion at school closing time that will have to be addressed at some point.
Quinn, to maybe follow up on that a little bit. So we have coordinated with UDOT on it. UDOT is in support of the access locations. It is quite common to have commercial developments adjacent to a school or part of a route of a safety sidewalk project. What we have done in locations with commercial development that is adjacent to a school is to even make put signage on the sidewalks, put signage for the drivers, that says this is a heavy pedestrian crossing location, just to give additional safety reminders to the walkers as well as the drivers. And fortunate as well, the typical peak hours of commercial businesses in comparison to all of our little kiddies walking back and forth on the sidewalks are typically off times. So the kids will be walking through when the businesses are at their lower peak time. So that does help with the kids as well.
Thank you. And just my final question, and it's probably not anything that takes place commonly, but maybe it does. Do we ever have a return on investment value that is estimated? I know the development company obviously looks at their return on investment, and that's why they propose the commercial, residential, and all the different components. But does that ever come to the city with a return on investment, or Barry? Does our planning commission or staff look at this and say, what is the financial, return on investment, if you will, to the city? How much does it bring in?
I can take a stab at that one. There's not a detailed analysis that's done on that. However, I do know of studies that have been done in the state that look at the property tax and sales tax generated from certain properties and what the break-even point is essentially for a property to pay for itself, so to speak. And as far as residential is concerned, you're looking at more than 8 units an acre for it to quote unquote break even. And so typically development in a community means that there's additional tax strain, additional service level that's required, but not as much taxes that come in to help offset that. So that is one of the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to density and commercial development and things like that, is that commercial development pays the entire amount of property tax. So if you had a $200,000 valuation for commercial property versus a $200,000 valuation for residential, primary residential property, there's a property tax break that comes to a primary residence of 45%. So the city does not receive the full amount of property tax from a primary residence. So it does get more property tax from commercial development of the same valuation as it compares to residential. So that's one thing that commercial development provides additional property tax that way in the comparison there. Also specific to retail, cities receive retail sales tax based on point of sale, the location of the sale, and a 0.5% of sales taxes received based on a distribution formula of population throughout the state. And so having more retail businesses within a community does provide additional sales tax to the community, because that point of sale portion of sales tax would stay within the community. And so, looking at a development like this, from a city perspective, a return on investment would be quite a bit better than taking this same property and having it be single family homes, or even just strictly residential one way or strictly commercial one way. It does create the economics of a project like this would benefit the city. It's more the zoning characteristics and other things that the council has real discretion on, especially in this property and the way that our general plan is written and things like that. There's an ability for the council to really have a say on this and help work through those details. But that analysis can be done. It usually isn't done on a concept level. It's as the project moves farther down the track. But we as a city have not ever done that type of deep analysis.
All right, thank you very much.
And we have done that with other cities. Typically, we do that when the city's actually giving something, whether it's RDA funds or TIF financing or something, right? Then we show that rate of return. But we do have several models that will show. That's a good point, by the way, Dave. So even though the city's participation in the property tax for residential is lower, if you have, say, each one of these might be valued, each apartment or condo unit would be 180,000 roughly. So if we, but they're 3 stories tall. So in that same footprint, you have $540,000 of taxable residential value. So if you look at that between all these units, you end up having a much higher taxable value per square foot than anything else as far as tax, even more than commercial when it's taxable. If you're just looking at the taxable value, because it's multi-story. So.
Quinn, I think you bring up a really good piece of the puzzle and a really good consideration. I would say that maybe fortunately or unfortunately, when it comes to return on investment for a city, density produces greater return on investment than limited density. And that happens on an infrastructure standpoint, that happens on a service level standpoint. A large tract of land with a single residence on it is the most inefficient when it comes to finances, but it provides great quality of life. And so there's a balance there for sure.
Right.
But that's
that's
definitely an important piece of the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to balance the small country feel with, what is the real value to the community financially versus feel.
Well, and you're right at the heart of the matter when it comes to the city's desire, as I've heard it spoken from the council previously, when they say this is commercial property. I think you're getting at the very heart of there's a certain amount of revenue that can come to a city from commercial property. And that is something that we need to protect because we're limited in the amount of commercial property we have. So one way to ask the question maybe is if the developer was able to provide some type of analysis that shows even if there's some additional residential on the property, we're not losing out on the value. If that is what we're trying to maintain and get out of these commercial properties, there may be space for residential that doesn't lose the quote unquote value of the property that we are trying to get out of commercial. Again, that's only the finances side of it. I know the other aspect that I've heard the council speak toward commercial property is services to the community. So I know this council has not just been looking for retail because we're looking for sales tax. There has been definite conversation about what types of goods and services, what types of conveniences and things like that would commercial services bring to the community. So there are multiple aspects of this property and commercial property in general when we're limited in our options as far as commercial is concerned. But really, really important points as you consider what goes on the property.
Thank you.
Sky, you might have had this in the packet, but do you know how many ERUs per acre this calculates to be?
No, but we're 100. Let's see here. Do the math real quick. So 50, 182.
Isn't it around 52 acres or 52 units per acre?
Well, if you take the whole site, right, of 11 acres, you're 16 units an acre on average for residential.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And if you look at land area, you know, we're almost half. If you take away the non-buildable hillside, which is all of this, and then you take this here for residential, if you wanted to split it up as kind of a bubble, and then here for basically be like this for commercial. So we really did try to do a true mixed use. You know, we're not trying to just throw in the minimum amount of commercial. We're trying to do commercial that we can perform on and make nice for the city. I mean, that's just the truth. We're trying to, and I hope that the council can see that we are committing to build now, right? Everything but this, which we think we'll get some very interesting users here once we get construction going. Probably much better than what we would get now. You know, but you know, this still, we lose units here to build this, and it costs money to build this gym out and this cafe. Same with these 4 units, and of course these 2 buildings. So, you know, we're essentially committing and willing to build vertical now. You know, we're not going to wait for, you know, we're not going to wait for income to come from residential or anything like that. I mean, this is real commercial. That's Class A, very nice looking buildings to build right now, not just a promise in the future, you know.
All right. Are there other questions?
Mayor, I don't have necessarily a question, but I'll just add my 2 cents for the developer. I echo most of the comments shared to date tonight. I do appreciate the concepts, the businesses, the commercial that they're inviting and have LOIs for. But I'm probably one of your furthest right on this council when it comes to mixed use. The density is way too high. I'm particularly against mixed use, in my personal opinion. If anything, if I was to be convinced of that, single family would be the most I would be willing to entertain. I know that doesn't go to your demographic models and what you're proposing here. So again, I'm probably one of your extremists. I appreciate you bringing this forward. I appreciate the idea of the businesses, but I hold precious those lands that we've identified for commercial and feel that we need to be strictly commercial in this particular area, commercial highway for those uses. Thanks for your interest in developing South Weber, and I hope you can be successful in whatever you bring forward, but mixed use and specifically apartments, I'm not in favor of.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments? All right. Any other comments, Sky or Nate? Anything you want to add before we wind up?
Mayor, maybe just, we appreciate everybody's input. If we wanted to follow up and get some additional conversations with some staff, with council, with you, Mayor, I assume we're okay just to reach out to you and discuss offline then some of those ideas.
Yes, I believe so. I can speak for myself. A council member's okay with that as well? It looks like it.
Yeah, because the goal is, and I appreciate Wayne's input. The goal is we really want to working, you know, as the planning, as the engineering side of this project, and also as a resident, we want this development to be something that everybody is proud of as the gateway into the city. You know, there was discussions on it. Should it be more new urbanism design, which means right against the street? Should it be shoved back farther? You know, we want it to be something that we're all proud of. So did we make any changes in between planning commission and now? No, that was one of the questions. because we wanted you to see what planning commission saw as well. I didn't want us to think that we were changing the plan or evolving the plan. That way planning commission felt, vested in this as well. But as we evolve this and as we gather all the input from staff, from planning commission, from you tonight, we'll evolve that. We'll work together as a team and get this back in.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for
Okay.
coming and presenting.
Okay. Thank you all. See you.
All right. Okay.
I gotta take the screen off, huh?
Oh,
you
yep,
got-
there you go. All right. Our next item is item number 10, the public hearing for the budget 2020-2021 amendment. The current city budget for 20 and 21 was adopted on June 16th, 2020. Since the adoption of the budget, the city has received CARES Act funds. On June 30th, 2020, the city council gave direction to staff on how these funds should be used. Several items have since come before city council and been approved. These amendments formalize the previously allocated CARES Act funds as part of the 2021 budget. This includes $14,700 for miscellaneous supplies like masks, sanitizer, etc. in various departments, $1,800 to the Mosquito Abatement District, $1,500 to Wasatch Integrated Waste Management District, $34,000 for Fire Department hazard pay, and $360,000 for Fire Department salaries and benefits. The final change is not COVID-19 related. It is $25,000 to repair the posse grounds damaged by high winds. Are there comments or questions? Oh, no. Do we have anyone here for public hearing, Dave? I guess we ought to open it up and then ask that. Should I?
Nobody registered for this public hearing. No,
We need to open
Okay.
and close it.
we still
We
need to
do.
open and close it. Yes.
So
I'll
do I
make a
have a
motion that
motion?
we, I'll make a motion that we go to a public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, Michelle can pick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in public hearing and hearing none, no comments. Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
And do I have a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We are out of public hearing then. So we'll move to resolution 2020-46, which is the budget amendment number 4, which includes the items I just related. Are there comments or questions on these amendments?
Mayor, I just have a question. Can we talk about what we're doing with the posse grounds and the plans there exactly?
Oh, as far as park improvements or park repairs,
Yeah.
Mark Larson is here. Do you, or does someone else want to address that?
You pull the
Mark?
map up, we can talk about it.
That'd be great.
Lisa, do you have that map available?
Page 88 of the packet had it.
Mark, will you start describing it while she's pulling that up?
It's the posse grounds. It has grass. There's a place where the horses ride. There's a bathroom. No, we're just putting the fence won't go back up in the exact same spot because we don't need the chain link between Stan Cooks and the posse grounds, but you can kind of see on this picture where the fence is going to go. It ties over to the dog park. It's just to keep people from driving vehicles in there. We got to fence it off somehow. Then the grass got kind of tore up and lumpy. So we've got to add some topsoil. We're going to take a tree grinder in there, grind out some of the roots. It ripped up some of the sprinkler system. We got to replace, well, we have replaced some of the pipes, the wires. Just kind of making a revamp of all that down there.
So I know that we talked about that fire pit area and doing like a parking lot or saving the grass. So it sounds like we're gonna keep the grass. Is that, am I
Yeah,
understanding?
that was the kind of direction I got from the council, was just leave it grass, and basically where the red line is in the middle, that'll be a sidewalk that they can walk over and hit the trail that goes around the dog park now. The grass, the fire pit will stay kind of just the same way it is. It'll just be about a foot higher and a little more level.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Larson, I assume you're donating your time to repair this. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be my dad, Mr. Larson, but I probably won't. But I can't get a hold of him. It's 1-800 heaven or hell, one of the two.
Mark, hey, so what kind of fence is going in between the parking lot and the fire pit area?
Well, we talked about a 3-rail, either vinyl or steel. The steel just comes to seem to be out of our price range. It's like $15,000, where vinyl's around $5,000 or $6,000.
And you
And
think
then-
a vinyl would hold up all right down there?
Well, the thing about it is, we're going to put hitching rails along it from to tie horses, and signs that say, if you tie a horse to it, they'll tear it down if you drive a truck through it, you know. But if somebody ties a horse to it 15 times, I can replace it cheaper than I can putting up a steel fence.
Right.
And if you look at the very bottom of this picture, can you see those two little lines? Yellow lines?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually on the other road where the trail comes in. All it is just, there's a 34-foot piece of property we own over there. So there's two 15-foot pieces of fence with a hole in the middle, just so vehicles can't drive through there. And then there's a gate up on the south or the north end, so we can still get vehicles in when we need to.
Okay.
Mayor, may I also add that a insurance claim was put in for this damage. And so we are still waiting to find out how much of this repair work will be covered by insurance. But we have submitted that claim, and hopefully we'll hear back. We anticipate not hearing back until December, but some of this we anticipate being reimbursed, if not all of it, through insurance.
So you're saying up to 25,000? That would
Right.
be.
Right. We submitted the claim, and we'll find out how much of that will be counted as wind damage.
Okay.
I
Any
didn't
other-
go out and get bids for everything, but I talked to a couple of fence guys, and I talked to a couple of landscapers, and me and my guys kind of figured out what we need. And so I'm hoping to be less than what we put in there, but
Okay. All right, other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-46 budget amendment number 4?
I think Angie had a question. for
Oh, you
guys.
did, Angie?
Yeah, I just was wondering how soon we anticipate being able to have this work completed.
I talked to the fence guys, and they say as long as it doesn't freeze hard enough that they can't drill through it, they'll put the fence up this winter. So we're just kind of hoping to get moving. We'll go down and get the sprinklers set up. If we can get topsoil in there, we'll get the topsoil in. Probably won't patch the sod until spring just because we want to water it. But the fencing, like I say, hopefully it'll be ready to use as soon, if not sooner, than the dog park.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. All right, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2020-46 budget amendment number 4.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I heard two. One's Councilwoman Alberts.
I was first.
You were first. Okay. Any further comments? Wayne, did you have a rebuttal? Okay, then we will have a roll call vote. Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
and Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
Okay, and the motion carries. Item number 12, resolution 2020-47, Old Maple Farm subdivision phase 3 final acceptance. Developer Mike Ford has requested acceptance by South Weber City of the Old Maple Farm subdivision phase 3 and release of all escrow funds held for improvements. Jones and Associates has conducted a detailed inspection to determine if improvements meet minimum requirements according to city standards and specifications, and has found that improvements have been completed satisfactorily. They recommend final acceptance of Old Maple Farm subdivision phase 3, wherein South Weber City will assume ownership and maintenance of improvements. There was just one stipulation in the resolution, and Brandon, has Mike Ford paid all fees and due to the city?
I actually don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, well, I guess that's part of the resolution, so they can't, the project can't be accepted until that's been done, according to the resolution. So are there comments or
Right.
questions on this?
I have a couple questions, and Brandon may be able to answer them since I've talked to him about them before. Are we okay still with the ground that is north of the walking path and north of the retention basin that is just left unfinished and weeds? Similar to the area on the park strip next to the Kendalls, it's just weeds that the city is going to have to maintain.
Right. That actually, I mean, that's consistent with what the approved plans were, on the approved plans.
We approved plans with weeds on it.
We approved plans with
It's not even really road based. I mean, Cole can answer. I mean, it's, and maybe if Mark Larson's still on, I mean, I think it's a mess to try to take care of.
Well, we met with Cole out there a couple weeks ago. I have not been out there in the last week or so. Maybe Mark can speak to that a little bit better than me, but they talked through what they, needed as far as things cleaned up. And Mark has said that they've done everything that we discussed. Have you been out there recently, Blair?
Yeah, and it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just on top of that pipe along the fence. It's just smoothed down enough that we can cut it with the weed mower. It's got that pipe underneath it. So
I mean, and I saw Cole's on here. Did they actually smooth it out, or is it just still the way it was with weeds on it?
we hauled some dirt in. We had some dirt that we were getting rid of. We hauled in there for them, and they went down and flattened it out so that we could mow it. It still drops off a little bit towards the fence, but it's because that ditch, Riverdale ditch is in there, that big pipe.
Okay.
The plans did not, I guess what I was trying to say, Blair, is the plans did not require that they landscape north of the trail. All the landscaping was south, on the south side of the trail.
Okay.
Other comments, questions? Okay, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-47?
sorry, Mayor, I'm confused. I thought you just said we couldn't make a motion on this.
Oh, did I say that? No, you can make a motion.
No, what she's saying is if there are unpaid fees, then the resolution is not valid until those fees are paid.
Yeah, it covers that. Sorry. Were you going to make a motion, Councilwoman Petty?
Sure. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-47, acceptance of Old Maple Farm subdivision phase 3.
Do I have a second?
Do we need to state that that needs to be paid though, or the resolution already has that written into it?
It's contingent upon the paying in full of those fees, correct, Brandon? Dave? Either.
Yes. I mean, that's the way I understand it.
And that's written in the resolution, so. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
was
take
first.
Councilman Windsor. All right. Any further comment? Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item is Canyon Meadows Park West Master Plan update. Based on the feedback received in the latest park survey, the Parks Committee has been working on a more detailed, updated master plan for the west side of Canyon Meadows Park. This is needed as a base prior to any permanent features being constructed or installed to ensure the best placement of each feature, as well as proper drainage and grading. The Parks Committee initially reviewed 5 concept layouts with a variety of uses and configurations. The main desired features were identified and 4 revised optional layouts reviewed. The future of the Peterson Barn was discussed with the full City Council on November 10th, 2020 to get additional direction. Based on the feedback received, along with refining elements of the 4 optional layouts, the Parks Committee put together a preferred option layout, which has been included in your packet. All right, comments or questions?
Yeah, I'll start out. I figure everyone's expecting me to start out anyway. I first want to start out and say thank you to the Parks Committee for their efforts to what they presented here. Very well thought out. I'll just state my 3 questions and our concerns and then shut up and listen. First off, the preferred option shows a lot of green space in the, I'm going to call it the southwest corner of the basketball area where the old Peterson Barn exists. And given the recent information that we've exceeded our water allotment for watering grass, I wonder if that's the most prudent use of that space. More lawn, more sprinklers, more water, more fertilizer, more time, more maintenance. It's more of a question. I don't have an answer. I just wonder if there's another use, if we can't come up with an activity use. And I have a couple ideas that I can throw out later. Is that the best use for that corner? Second, back in March, when I was, well, the question about pickleball courts started at 2 now, 4 total. Now we've grown to 8. Please tell me that's not for hosting tournaments for outside users of the community. Why did that use grow so much? It seems excessive to me. The third question, when you phase it, it seems like all of your work is to build closest to the parking lot, which makes sense. But if you're going to phase it to the south, you need to be able to provide access for that heavy equipment and construction activity to be able to access those areas that you want to phase in your phasing plan. So if somebody wants to address those, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot, and then Brandon can help me out here, and Quinn. Okay, first of all, we haven't discussed our phasing yet, so this is the concept that we're bringing forward to the council as our recommendation for approval. But our discussion about phasing will happen at next week's meeting for our Parks Committee. Lisa, I want to make sure I can see this whole thing here. So we did, I'm sorry.
Do you need it smaller?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Thank you. So we wanted to master plan the park. And as we've done our research on pickleball, it is highly popular and highly used. So does this presentation here mean that we will build all 8 pickleball courts right now? No, it does not. But if we can master plan for it and grade for that, then we can prepare for it. To your comment about hosting tournaments, I don't feel like that would be inappropriate in any way. I mean, we have baseball tournaments and such, basketball, we constantly are hosting. So I don't know that that would really be any different than any of the other sports. We wanted to include basketball courts for those that rated high on our survey. As far as the green space, I'd love to hear your ideas to put the green, what to fill in the green space over by the basketball, between the basketball courts and the pavilion. I guess it would be the southwest corner. And I appreciate the idea about getting the construction equipment. Our hopes were that we could discuss our phasing and then get this mostly graded or all graded, depending on how much it costs, right away. So all of the grading would be complete, and then we could build as funds become available. Did I hit on everything?
Yeah, you addressed some of the questions. To your last one, that green space, I could see it maybe as a technical bike course, kind of like you see over in Riverdale. You have a dirt area, whoop-de-doos, some mounds, turns. You can have a little technical course for those riding bicycles. Volleyball pit was also suggested by our public. I don't know. I mean, maybe people want grass to throw on a blanket and have a picnic as well. I'm just trying to balance the uses versus the cost to maintain, associated that given the recent excessive use of water because of the dry summer, spring that we had. People expect green grass. You put grass in, they expect it to be green. Can we maintain that? I wasn't against tournaments. I just didn't want us to build 8 just because it better suits to host tournaments. I just don't understand why we need to have 8. 4 seem to be reasonable for this community. I know it's popular, but 8 seems excessive to me.
So
Wayne?
let me ask you a question. If we didn't do 8, what would you rather see there? Just for giggles.
Well, I don't have the luxury of spending committee time to be thinking about all the opportunities. I don't have the survey in front of me looking at all the options. So I really can't answer your question without being challenged with what those uses are and the popularity of those uses. I just think 8 pickleball courts is too much.
Okay, so that being said, is this this proposal we have here for the master plan, is this something that you would not support then?
I would not support 8 pickleball courts.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Angie, and maybe I'll just jump in there. I would actually support them if we phase them. I don't think we have the budget to do them all right now, but maybe we do. Maybe we can figure that out. But I personally, if we had the budget, I would like to see the whole thing done so that this phase of the park is done and we only have the east side of the park left to deal with. But is that even a possibility, or have you even talked budgets?
So we are discussing our phasing at next week's meeting.
Okay.
As far as the budget, that's another discussion in that meeting. So
What?
we will let you know, but
Okay.
we considered putting on here a certain phase, but we wanted to have that discussion deeper with the committee before we presented that to council.
And don't we run into, and maybe this is a question for Brandon, but I know you guys were walking the site today, where the basketball courts are shown, you're going up a hill right there. I mean,
Yeah,
that,
I can address that. What the direction that the committee came up with was that you would grade, what this is representing is that you would grade the whole area to one level.
doesn't that add significant cost to do that? I mean, I know we have a lot of stockpiled dirt there right now, but not near that much dirt.
We've actually done a topo of the ground with the stockpiled dirt there. And once the thought that was discussed was that you'd kind of berm around the outside edges, provide some sloped areas there, and then the center would be flat. The grading that came back would put a berm kind of along that east side. It's doable. That is part of the discussion we would like to have with the committee as far as budgets and things like that go. Well,
Okay.
I think what the committee was hoping for is some affirmative direction from the rest of the council on a plan, the preferred plan to move forward. If as we look at phasing and costs, if there are things that can be done differently, we would address those at that point in time. But we didn't want to move forward on something that didn't have the support of the council. Is that fair to say, Angie?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And just to make a point, we would not, in none of our discussions have we said we want to construct 8 pickleball courts all at once. That was never the discussion. This would just be to solidify a plan for the park.
Whatever the end result that you come up with, I would encourage maybe the plan consider more, I don't know, you want picnic tables or seating area. I look at the basketball areas, I don't see anything for people to sit down, change their shoes. The pickleball area, same thing. I don't know if there's an accommodation for that aspect of those uses that the plan would incorporate.
And that's a good point. That is definitely something that we could look at adding. So we'll bring that up at our committee meeting on Tuesday. There are, how many small pavilions do we have in here? 2 small pavilions and 2 large pavilions.
Yes. Angie, if I could, I think I would like to just make sure that, because I think Wayne brought up a really good point with the watering and lawn. I think that there was some consideration for that in this already, because that is definitely a very good point to address, Wayne. I appreciate that. The area on the north end, where the train tracks are shown, that's largely left just pretty much unlandscaped with this plan. The courts take up a large area, but there is a fairly large area there in that southwestern corner. And I think that another use there is something that could be considered, but in just addressing the water usage, and Mark Larson, if you're still on, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that the overage that we had was with South Weaver Water Improvement District and not South Weaver Irrigation Company. And maybe Blair, you may know that as well. This
Yeah,
area,
that's correct. We're actually under 50% consumption.
Yeah, that was actually with Weaver Basin Water.
Yeah.
I went
Okay.
over and it had a lot to do.
Wayne, I was going to
Carl-
harass Wayne because that's just you East Enders that use too much water.
There you go. On this piece, we actually have water shares for the entire piece. So all the wetland that isn't being watered, the parking lots, the pickleball courts, the basketball court, the parking lot on the other end, we have water shares to water all that. So all the hard surfacing just is a bonus.
and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still be water wise in what we look at. So it still is a very good point. I just wanted to point out that is not as much of a concern on this end of town.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Alberts.
Okay, I'll take my shot at it. I like it. I think it's a great plan. And I know that we've gotten a lot of feedback from those in Canyon Meadows that are really excited about it. I think I really love the idea of a bike tactical course. Riverdale has one. It's pretty well utilized, but where that bike track kind of goes around the eastern end of the park, I think that would be really fun and pretty cost effective. But some other things I think that we could utilize in that green space is, what are those things called? Those chess tables where you play chess and people can come to the park and play chess. I think that would be pretty fun and cool. Volleyball. Thanks, Mark. That's what it's called, chess tables. The volleyball court, I think, would be an awesome asset as well. Again, not really a ton of cost or maintenance. I know we have one over by Cherry Farms. I don't think it gets utilized terribly much, and I'm not sure the reasons why. I have heard from residents there's lots of sticker thorns in it and stuff, but and I think horseshoes would be fun. So I think if we're going to have the pickleball courts that have all ages and ability, then let's get some other unique ideas in there for other ages and abilities. And kind of, we have the space for this really neat park. I think that some of those options are not too terribly expensive, but also just make it a little unique for our city. I just had a question on the pickleball courts and competitions. And maybe this isn't the time to necessarily discuss it, but in the event that that does happen, can somebody kind of enlighten me on how that works? How often do they happen? How long do they go for? Are we going to run into an issue of traffic problems or noise problems, or just our own residents not being able to use the pickleball courts because they're always being used for other competitions? Is that something that could be possible?
Angie, do you want me to address that?
Yeah, go for it. Thanks, Mayor.
I mean, I've just, I've been to them before and I've talked to people who've run them in other cities. That's entirely up to our rec program, whether they want to do any kind of tournaments or not. Other cities do them occasionally. Ours, even with 8 courts, which isn't what we proposed to begin with anyway, but 8 courts is small for a tournament. And so it wouldn't be, you know, we wouldn't have any major tournaments here. We could have them whenever we want or not have them at all. So it's, and I've never seen or heard of a traffic issue or parking issues with those. It's typically the players that come and maybe a husband or wife to watch, but not big crowds that show up to those things. And so I haven't heard of it being a problem in other cities.
Great.
With more courts than we will have. So
thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. The only other question I had was the trees. Are we able to save the trees that are there, or will they have to come down, or Do we know what will, as far as trees goes, how's it gonna look over there?
So we went and walked, I'm sorry, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll take this.
Go ahead.
We went and walked that area today and had a lot of discussion about the topography and the trees and what are we able to save and what will it look like. There are not as many trees as really this makes it look like when you look down onto this Google Earth photo we've overlaid on here, but none of the trees really would be able to be saved. It would be extremely difficult to maintain and save these trees. And the grading, like Brandon said, we would have it be all one level, simply because we would lose so much space in the park if we were to maintain a 2-tier presentation or an option for that. We would actually lose a lot of usable space. And we felt like whereas the basketball courts rated highly on the survey and the pickleball, that was important to make sure that we got that in as a master plan design. I want to touch on the volleyball really quick. I don't recall where that rated on the survey, but I don't recall that it rated high at all. I don't.
Angie, I look back at the survey and it wasn't on the original one and I didn't see it on any comments from citizens. But we do have 2 volleyball options at the Family Activity Center, and then we have 2 outdoor pits, one across from the fire station and one up at the Cherry Farms Park.
Thank
But,
you, Quinn.
if we need another one, I guess we could put one in up there.
Okay. Just wanted to say thank you on the basketball courts. I'm really happy to see a park with basketball courts, not 1 but 2. So I'm really happy about that. What about the tactical bike trail? Is that am I dreaming? Is that a possibility? Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that?
I don't,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, there's like lots of hills and
Yeah.
just places for them to.
It's like
What?
if you think of like mountain biking, it would be like a bunny hill. Like it's just a little area, and Riverdale has one, but it's just like Wayne said, it's got little.
So it's
hills.
all dirt.
It's all dirt. Riverdale has a wooden fence around theirs, but they just spray for weeds is all I see really is what they do over there. But it's pretty fun, I think. I think it would be great to use that instead of that, to save some of that green space.
Is Mark Larson still on the line?
Yeah.
I would like to know his feelings on that as far as maintenance and.
I've never really maintained one. I don't know what they do, what they are. I know anytime you have natural Utah vegetation, people get upset because they think it's just weeds, which it's just weeds. So we have a lot of it in this park though. Between the 2 park areas, it's just left natural so the kids can play in it. So don't they have one of those up to Morgan too? A bike track of some kind?
Yeah,
That's by
they have it over by their new pickleball course by the fairgrounds.
Yeah, I don't know how well it is taken or whatever. But
Yeah,
I really don't know how to maintain them. Like I say, it's probably like anything, you can just do the minimum, or you can be in there with a roller, rolling it and doing all kinds of stuff, but I can check on it.
Yeah, if you check out the Riverdale one, they just, I don't know, it's just all dirt, and it's over there by the river, by the city office buildings, but it's pretty popular and it's fun.
Okay.
We take my kids there a lot, so.
I like to go wander that trail, so I'll take my bike over there and go for a cruise.
Okay, you just wear like a GoPro when you go on the bunny hills so we can all see it later.
Yep, and it'll be workman's comp, just so you know.
Enter at your own risk there, Mark. Anyway, I think that covers everything I had. Thanks, guys.
So can I ask a question on that bike track? Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we say this is about 300 feet across from corner to corner? That south side?
Yeah, it's in that range. I don't have the exact number for you, but
That's okay. So that area that is green space right now would not be super large for a tactical bike course. It would be awesome. I mean, I'm not opposed to that, but it would not be very large at all.
Big.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Riverdale's is not, and again, I'm not trying to hamper
It's small.
Riverdale. It's small as well. I mean, I would say it's like all 160 by 50 or so feet. Maybe that's small. I'm really bad there on measurements, but it's not a huge one. Definitely not more than 100 feet for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, they pack a lot of hills in a small space over there.
Yeah, it's really fun over there.
And that is a highly used feature at that park.
Yeah, you have a lot of people that, you have kids there on their bikes, but you also have people who like to take their remote control cars and like the big remote control cars, and they'll go and jump them. And yeah, I mean, every time we go there, there's people there. There's a lot of people who enjoy it. So.
Okay. I mean, I'd entertain that. I think that would be awesome.
Okay, I'll take you there. I'll put a GoPro camera on you too.
Okay, but just so you know, I only have a tandem bike, so you got to come with me.
I'll ride back. I'll put a GoPro on me, and then it'll be viewing you the entire time. It'll be great.
I can't reach the front pedals.
I told you it's gonna be great.
I could see you high centering that one on some of those hills, actually.
Definitely.
Are there other comments, questions? All right. Just to give you an idea, when we've done country fair days and had a pickleball tournament, we would have easily filled those courts and had to use more than one time in order to get everyone who signed up for those tournaments. And people, there's a lot of citizens here that would never even dream of doing a tournament, but would like to go hit. So I think that 8 courts at build out, which is not what we're doing right now, is not unreasonable for a community our size. They will get used. They will get used a lot. So just my 2 cents. Okay, if there are no more questions, do we need a formal vote action on this, Dave?
Yes, I think it would be great for the committee to, or for the council to formally adopt a master plan for that west side. That's an amendment to previously adopted master plan. So I would give the direction to the committee on what to do for the phasing and finances discussion. So yes, I think it would be prudent to have the council adopt a master plan for the west side.
So in order to make that motion, what are you calling this, the one we were looking at, since we had 4?
The one you're looking at was the preferred option. So that was the name of it, preferred option.
It needs to have a title, just like we had A and B before. I mean, the preferred option. Okay.
It wasn't numbered because it was it wasn't numbered because it was a combination of the other options.
Okay, then I have a motion to approve the Canyon Meadows Park West Master Plan Update Preferred Option Plan. That didn't go over. That's not what it is.
It is. It's the preferred. It's the preferred option. So, Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the master plan for the Canyon Meadows Park preferred option.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Councilwoman Petty, are there any further comments? Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote beginning with,
Dave's got a comment, looks like.
oh, Dave, sorry.
I've just got a question. Does that include any changes that were discussed, like the bike park and things like that, or just as written?
I think it needs to be explored what can go there and then brought back, because we don't really know what can go there.
Yeah, that's my comment. My comment is, are we a bit premature to adopt this as a master plan for that? It sounded like there were several potential options or changes. And I know we've got to understand the phasing and what do you do first? But we wanted to make sure this direction was okay first before we did phasing. But it sounds like, we need to put together a phasing plan. In some of our earlier designs, we had, half the pickleball courts and the basketball court, kind of hidden as, dotted lines that at some future date they could be added. And that all would come within the phasing. Anyway, I just wonder if we make a resolution to adopt this as is, but we're making changes, how does that handle?
We're completely different than our last master plan. I think you can always make changes and add. I mean, this is totally different.
This just gives us some direction of where to go, but we can still make changes.
My only concern with the motion is the word approve versus accepting. I think if you accept the preferred option, you can always modify it. But if you approve it, then it's approved as is.
Then I'll modify that motion. Mayor,
Okay.
I'll make the motion to accept the preferred option for the Canyon Meadows Park as the preferred option.
And Councilwoman Petty, do you still second that?
I still second it, but I do want to know if we need to explore or add as part of the motion to explore other options for the other green space.
As part of my motion, I think you need to explore it. I don't think it's mandatory.
Okay, well, I still second it either way.
Okay. All right. Any further comment? And we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilman Halverson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Aye.
Councilman Windsor,
No,
and Councilman Soderquist.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries 4 yes to 1 no vote. All right, next item is match funds commitment for Federal Emergency Management Agency Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Planning Grant. The Public Safety Committee has been working on preparing an application for a Federal Emergency Management Agency Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Planning Grant to study and develop a hazards mitigation plan. A letter of interest has been submitted and the application is being finalized for submission prior to the December 1st deadline. An important piece of the application is a commitment letter from the city to match any grant money received at a ratio of 25% to 75%, meaning the city would pay 25% and FEMA would grant 75%. The grant application will be for $50,000, which puts the city's portion at $12,500. The commitment letter states $15,000 to provide wiggle room if the amount received is different than the amount requested. Based on the grant cycle, the money would need to be budgeted as part of next year's fiscal budget beginning on July 1st, 2021. Only the city council can commit to include that money in next year's budget. Are there comments or questions on this?
I just want to make a point that to thank Wayne and Dave for pushing this to get it together. And I think it's something we really need to approve and do.
I will second that.
So
Is that a motion?
That's a good job. I second your job.
I do have a question, Mayor.
Yeah.
Does this address the OUIs or is this other hazard mitigation?
This,
always-
if I can answer that question, Mayor.
Yes, you may.
Quinn, this is, like I say, it's a FEMA grant program. It talks about natural hazards are qualifying expenses. And so anything that you can relate to wildfires, flooding, debris flows, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes would be a qualified plan. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get a comprehensive mitigation plan for all those disasters. You need to have a comprehensive plan that identifies where your risks are and those projects and the mitigation projects. So then you can then go and get a project grant to make those mitigation projects. The whole intent behind the FEMA program is it's cheaper for the federal government to put monies into projects to mitigate these events than it is to come in after the damage is done and have to fix them. And so that's why they're putting $500 million federally across the nation into this program. And we're just trying to get a small chunk to do a plan as to how we want to address that. Now, our comprehensive plan might look at other mitigating problems like transportation or emergency traffic and things of that nature. Those would be qualifying expenses. But those that qualify, we're looking to get 75% of the monies for those. Again, only the council can obligate expenditures, and we're looking to obligate these monies in fiscal year 22. And so we need to make sure when the budget comes out that we obligate those monies.
Thank you for the clarification.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Then do I have a motion to approve the $15,000 match fund for the BRIC grant?
May I make the motion that we, how do you want to word that? We make a resolution to match $15,000 toward the FEMA grant program for a planning grant.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, I'll let Michelle choose. All right, any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilwoman Petty,
Aye.
Councilman Windsor,
Aye.
Councilman Soderquist,
Aye.
Councilwoman Alberts,
Right.
and Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Wayne, I appreciate you bringing this forward, this opportunity, because I think it's it'll be a great thing for our city.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
All right, let's go to reports. Do we have any new business? No? All right, hearing none, then let's move to reports. I just this last week attended a channel opening along the Weber River, just southwest of the Uinta Business Park. They've done a lot of construction over there, a lot of ground moving to create channels for the bluehead sucker. That is a kind of a threatened species of fish in the Weber River that's very important to the ecosystem there. It's an algae eater, and it's also good bait and a foraging fish. And so they've created these channels, and this is like one of the only places, well, it's the only place in Utah, I think they'll do it, but only place large enough to try this experiment and see if they can bring back the populations of these fish that are so important. They make these channels off the main river because what was happening is those fish were getting swept down, clear down the river because of all the construction and all the channeling of the river for like I-84 and other projects. It's very swift. And so those bluehead suckers don't have time to mature in their environment. And so this creates an opportunity for them to move off the main channel and spend time growing and maturing, and hopefully we'll bring back those populations. So it was pretty cool. We got to watch the channel open up. So that was awesome. It also prepares this area to continue the Weaver River Trail east. So that's pretty cool too. All right, let's go to Councilman Halverson.
The Public Safety Committee met last week. Wasn't a large agenda, but there is continued discussion on the and timelines put forth by the counties for the paramedic service, and it's still a work in progress. If anybody has questions, I'm sure Dave can answer more than I can, but it's still definitely just a work in progress. They're trying to put timelines together, and so that the cities can see what to expect. They are going to settle on some deadlines, I believe, correct, Dave, their next meeting?
Yes,
Like
we're meeting.
Some milestone deadlines.
Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow with representation from all of the around the county. And yeah, they're putting together timelines for potential transition from paramedic service being provided by the sheriff's office to the various entities, meaning various cities or districts throughout the county that would take over that service. So they're looking at timelines for that transfer. They're looking at a potential interlocal agreement that would come forward to all the cities. So there's serious momentum that this is going to happen, and they're putting pen to paper to actually put the documentation in place and a transition plan in place. So if that comes to fruition, as far as the documentation, it's most likely beginning of next year that that would come forward to the council for either approval of the interlocal agreement or consideration of the interlocal agreement, I should say, and consideration of that timeline and things like that. So they're really moving down the road that way, and it's looking more and more likely.
And we are definitely in a good position with it, and I think it'll help with the timeline and to know what's expected and not just a what if thing. But also we discussed the CERT program. I believe the citizens have met and laid out team captains and block captains and all of that. And Derek has met. I think he missed the last meeting when they were picking those captains, but Brandon Bodley has been doing a good job at pushing that forward with Derek. I believe that was it, other than we talked about the brick application, so which we just approved. So I appreciate that as well. And that is all I have to report.
Thank you, Blair. Councilman Windsor.
Thank you. The Municipal Utilities Committee met and we had a discussion presentation with Utopia and learned a little bit more, got some clarity on their option for bringing high-speed internet. We have another opportunity coming into a presentation on December 2nd to the committee. Connex is the business outfit. It's a wireless type of a project. The approach the Municipal Utilities Committee is going to take is we're going to listen and develop a white paper, which is a summary of our understanding of the different options. And then we will look to the PR committee to somehow publish that, if on the district's city's website or something like that, to at least communicate with the public what we've understood and what the pros and cons are from the committee's perspective of each. It's a work in progress, but we are slowly chipping away at that. We haven't talked yet with regards to the general plan being complete, the capital facility plans, the impact fee facility analysis, and those updates. We need to talk about prioritizing which utility we want to look at first and start knocking those out over the next year or so. It'll probably take a couple of years to do those. What's the other one, Haley, I was supposed to report on? Oh, code committee. That's it. I get lost on my committees. I got to keep strings on my fingers. The code committee met today. We're about, well, what letter E in the alphabet?
We got the second line of letter E. So we're two E's in.
Yeah, we've chosen.
We ended on C, just to put that in perspective. Sorry, Wayne, didn't mean to cut you off there.
We've chosen to go through all the uses and look at the definitions, and we're finding out some of the definitions are not there or are incomplete. And so we're not adding uses, but we're adding definitions. And we're working our way through the alphabet to get that complete in hopes that once we have all the definitions updated, then we can apply those to the different zones. And then that'll all translate into new language into each zone. And that'll come back to the Planning Commission for their discussion and recommendation back to council. We don't have a time frame. We are working on it every week. So we're trying to get through it as quickly as we can, but we don't have a time frame as to when it's going to get complete yet. Mosquito abatement district, we talked last week. We talked about many things. One thing that they brought up, not to be overly concerning, but there's a dynamic with the airplane and the usage of the airplane. That's one of their devices to spread the larvicide. One of their partners is wanting to go to a helicopter. The Davis Mosquito Abatement District doesn't want to participate in a used car, if you will, share a used car. You get it on Mondays and Tuesdays, we'll get it Wednesdays and Thursdays. And it just didn't work out. So we might be losing a financial partner in our airplane. Long story short, they did float the idea of a property tax increase in Davis County. It is premature to say that's what they're going to do, but if they did, it'd be like $8 a house a year, not a month, $8 a year increase for all the houses in Davis County to cover the added expenses. But that's something that's coming in probably fiscal year 2022, calendar year 22, if it comes at all. And that's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Windsor. Councilman Soderquist.
I guess I need to take some of Councilman Winder's committees because he's doing a lot. I don't have anything that hasn't already been addressed.
Thank you, Quinn. Councilwoman Petty.
Thank you, Mayor. We discussed everything with the Parks and Recreation Committee, and we'll be meeting again next week. The only other thing I'd like to report is our Youth City Council hashtag Light Up South Weber project has been going awesome. We received all of the great notes of gratitude, as we're calling them, from South Weber Elementary. And I will let Haley explain how long the chain is in her house right now that we have to hang up. But we are at over 1,000 notes of gratitude, and they keep coming in, and we haven't even come close to finish counting. So we're really excited. We encourage everyone to continue to participate in that and leave your notes of gratitude either at City Hall or on our social media websites. And the Youth City Council has been really excited with this project. And the lights, Mark Larson, I've been working with him, and he should have the lights up and on in the next day or two. So every light represents a note of gratitude.
That's great. That's great participation. Did you say South Weber Elementary participated as a school, or?
Yeah, so our Youth City Council had the idea to approach the elementary school and Highmark, and they had great success at the elementary school, and all of the students there were able to participate and write a note of gratitude for us.
Oh, awesome. That's really cool. Okay. Councilwoman Alberts.
I don't have anything to report. I'll just say that the chain is very long. It's all over my daughter's bedroom. And just another little thing for YCC, if anybody has white Christmas lights, we were taking donations for lights and kind of figured out we're going with white. So we have some colors, but if anybody has any white Christmas lights they would like to donate, we are collecting those. Oh, Angie, okay. Sorry, did I speak out of turn?
No, I just wanted to notate if they can be not tangled, it would be really helpful for our public group. So thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that's a tall order, Angie. So are these going on the outside of City Hall? Are they going inside, or where are they being put up?
They are going on the trees, on the three front trees on the east side. And then if we have more, which we probably will, are we going to take the back trees? Are we going to start doing the building, or what do you know, Ange?
We're going to start at Wayne's house and then go around all his trees.
He'll love that.
We haven't decided yet, so just watch for the lights, I guess. We'll come up with a plan.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. All right, Dave.
I know the council knows this, but for anybody else that's interested, the court hearing for Cobblestone Manor, the short-term rental, happened on Monday, happened yesterday. And we were successful in arguing our position, and the court ruling was favorable to us. So we were granted a preliminary injunction, and that's really good news for us. So as staff, we're going to keep working through the details on that and what the next steps are. But the judge ruled in favor of the city. So that was a really positive result for us.
Finally. we got a good strike. One thing too that we really need to look at is our short-term rental ordinance. It was great. I think I know Wayne had made a comment that maybe we should consider the size of the lot or something and restrict short-term rentals on large properties or something like that. Anyway, it might be good to revisit our ordinance just to fine tune it. And I guess that would be part of would that be part of the code committee's responsibility?
Well, we had a short-term rental committee that got together and drafted that originally. I do think there are some lessons learned. Wayne's like, dang, that was my committee too. There are some lessons learned. One of the things I think is really valuable, the judge didn't necessarily say directly that our short-term rental ordinance was a good one, but it was a piece of the puzzle, and it was a really important piece. And so we do have a good ordinance in place. Our code protected us in this process. And so in some ways, the code is not as far away from where we need it to be as sometimes we talk about. We are focused a lot on where we want to improve the code, and especially land use items, and that's all well and good. But there are some elements of our code that have been very beneficial to us, and the things that were relied on in the court hearing, it became very apparent that our code was what protected us. And so
Right.
That was a really good thing. But I do think there are some lessons learned on the short-term rental, and we could get that committee together to discuss some of that. As staff, we're meeting with the lawyers who were involved in this issue for us on Thursday, and we're going to be talking about next steps. And one of those discussion items are, lessons learned. And so as a staff, we'll look at that first, and then we can take it to that committee when we're ready to bring that forward, any potential changes to that short-term rental code.
All right. Yeah, I think it was a good ordinance, and I appreciate the short-term rental committee. I forgot we had that, and they did do a really good job with wording that and saved our bacon in this court hearing. So that sounds great. Anything else you have to report, Dave?
Nope, everything else has been discussed already.
Okay, Brandon, did you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Mark
Well,
McRae.
I guess Wayne brought up the capital facilities plans and our need to get those adopted. And I just wanted to say that Dave and I met and discussed that today, and so we're on it.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Mark McRae.
I haven't got anything for tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Michelle, do you have anything? Lisa.
I just think you should all join me in wishing Michelle happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, Michelle. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Michelle.
What a boring way to spend your birthday.
Thank you. It's happened before on my birthday. I remember one time I was on a flight home from Chicago trying to hurry make it back for a city council meeting. And if I told you guys that I started this job when I was 28 years old, you'll have to guess.
So last year, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that's what's freaky. I was in my 20s when I started this job, and I won't tell you where I'm at now.
Well, I don't know how this city would run without you, Michelle.
They would definitely go without, but no, yeah, I'm probably looking at Wendy's tonight for my birthday dinner. So we'll see what happens.
Wendy's. Sounds tasty.
At least I don't have to cook, right?
That's the best part. Well, happy birthday, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further comments, we'll let Michelle get to Wendy's. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And meeting is adjourned.